The clear blue sky glittered with square data fragments, signaling a wondrous virtual world. Beneath the dense forest canopy, sunlight filtered through, creating a picturesque scene. "Finally, we're here!" Molty shouted excitedly. He puffed out his chest, hands on his hips, a smug look on his face. "I, Molty, will begin my journey at Mount Bhima." "Only level 11 yet. I must really have a knack for this game, huh?" Molty stroked his chin, a self-satisfied smile on his lips. What can I do? At this rate, I might become a ranked player." Just as Molty was lost in his own delusions, a desperate cry for help echoed from deep within the forest, shattering his self-satisfaction. Suddenly, a desperate scream rang out. "Is anyone there? Help! Please, my friend is injured. Please save us." Startled, Molty spun around. "What?" He quickly ran towards the sound. As he got closer, he saw a horrifying sight, a player kneeling beside a motionless teammate lying in a pool of blood. Molty asked as he approached, "What happened?" The other player looked up, his voice trembling and panicked. "We were attacked by an unseen monster. We struggled hard to escape, and we don't have any health potions." Before them, his companion lay motionless, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth, his breath shallow.
Although exhausted himself, Molty still managed to rummage through his inventory. He told the seemingly miserable group in front of him, "I have some here, please wait." Hearing this, the person wiped away a tear, their voice filled with emotion and gratitude. Thank you very much. We will definitely repay you." But as soon as the promise ended, a bloodshot, murderous gaze flashed in the darkness. One of the group members swung a spiky mace, engulfed in dark energy, then suddenly delivered a fatal blow to Molty, who was still bowing his head, completely unprepared. Crash! A terrifying impact echoed, fresh blood splattering everywhere. Molty collapsed onto the cold ground, blood gushing from the wound on his head. He could only let out a weak groan in his daze. Ugh, cuff? Looking down from above, the group of gamers had completely shed their false masks. Sinister smiles were clear on their faces. The one who had just expressed gratitude now spoke with a sarcastic tone. "Thank you. We'll make sure to make the most of these items."
Lying slumped on the damp ground, fresh blood dyeing a patch of grass red, Molty glared at his enemy with utter resentment. His breath was ragged, bitter words escaping his gritted teeth. "You tricked me, you coward!" His curses were met with a sarcastic tone from the silver-haired gamer. He looked down at Molty with contempt, a smug smile on his lips. "Hey, why say such unpleasant things? You're the fool for falling for it so easily." With that, his smile grew even more malicious. Without a moment's hesitation, he swung the blood-stained sword, delivering a fatal blow that ended Molty. A cold system notification appeared in midair. "Player, Molty, has died." Molty's body slowly dissolved into sparkling blue light particles and merged with the air, leaving the killer standing silently, admiring his achievement. Immediately after, another notification appeared. "Player's watch is dropping." From the blue light stream, his watch materialized and fell onto the blood-splattered ground. At this moment, his accomplices approached, surrounding the spoils with joyful expressions. One of the scam gamers laughed gleefully. "I told you, messing with newbies is always fun. Did you see his face just now?" Another in the group spoke up. "All right, guys."
With a savage grin, the gamer from the scam group licked his lips thirstily, his eyes gleaming with malice as he uttered, "Let's find the next prey." Dry leaves rustled down in the gloomy forest. From the shadows, savage growls echoed as two wolf-like monsters with eyes burning red like embers suddenly appeared. Facing them, a skeletal warrior stood firm, its body radiating cold blue magical energy, ready for battle. Behind it, Hyrkan's blurry figure emerged. Without hesitation, the two werewolf-like monsters darted forward, their fierce barks echoing through the air, bearing sharp fangs at the skeletal warrior. Witnessing the scene, Hyrkans merely smirked. A decisive snap of fingers rang out. Immediately he commanded, "Attack mode!"
From within the green smoke, the skeleton warrior appeared, its eye sockets blazing with murderous soul fire. Without a moment's hesitation, the skeleton warrior, with the new sword in hand, charged straight into the snarling pack of ancient tree wolves. The blade, enhanced by magic, carved deadly green streaks through the air. The faint whimpers of the monsters echoed as they were cut to pieces, their wooden bodies shattering under precise and ruthless sword strikes. In just a moment, the entire wolf pack was wiped out by overwhelming power. Observing the scene from afar, far, Hyrkan smirked with satisfaction. He thought to himself, now that it has a sword, an entire pack of wolves is nothing to it. Yes, prioritizing equipping the skeleton warrior first was absolutely the right decision. A powerful wave of emotions surged, and tears of happiness welling up in the corners of Hyrkan's eyes as he admired his achievement. He folded his arms, proud of his wise decision. A true gamer, he continued his thoughts and emotion, always cares more about utility than appearance.
In the gloomy forest, Hyrkan stood with his arms crossed, watching his skeleton warrior sitting on the ground, propping its chin with a sorrowful expression. In its naive mind, an image of a giant skeleton was tearfully feeling pity for its poor master. Seeing the strange sight, Hyrkan frowned and asked, "Hey, what are you thinking?" Without waiting for an answer, he sighed and turned to walk away, his tone somewhat impatient. "Sigh, if you're done, follow me. We need to level up quickly to clear this area." Hearing the command, the skeleton warrior immediately sprang up, hastily grabbed its sword, and clattered after its master. Suddenly, a sharp whoosh tore through the silent air. A streak of light flashed, and before anyone could react, an arrow flew straight into the middle of the skeleton warrior's forehead. Hyrkan instantly froze, his whole body rigid. Cold sweat trickled down his temples as he exclaimed in astonishment, "An arrow?" He quickly spun around, his sharp gaze sweeping towards where the arrow had come from. From a distance in the bushes, another player started in fright, hastily apologizing profusely. "Oh, so sorry." Both Hyrkan and the skeleton warrior, with the arrow still lodged in its skull, stood rooted to the spot, staring blankly at the unwitting attacker. A member of the Scammer Gamer group grabbed his accomplice by the collar, looking terrified. "From afar, I thought it was a monster." Another in the group quickly stammered, I'm truly sorry." Hyrkan, in his bizarre outfit, merely looked down coldly, letting out a "it's fine," which made the man look up blankly. For a moment, Hyrkan recalled his precious watch and mana potion being shattered under their heels. His gaze turned sharp, thinking, what kind of game are these guys playing? Suddenly, Hyrkan burst into hearty laughter. Beside him, the skeleton warrior also raised its fist, snapping an arrow to intimidate. A smile still on his lips, Hyrkan looked directly at the frightened group, his voice becoming laden with meaning. "I will forgive you if you can compensate me with a mana potion." The three Scammer Gamers immediately huddled together, whispering amongst themselves. One nervously spoke up, "Damn it, we don't have any potions either. What do we do now? How about this? Since your mana will automatically regenerate when you level up, can we help you level up instead of compensation?"
Hyrkan asked with some hesitation, "Is that okay?" Facing him, one of the scamming gamers waved his hand eagerly, a bright smile on his face. "Of course, it's our fault, isn't it? At least we should do that." However, hidden behind that friendly facade was a malicious thought growling in his mind. Suddenly, the surrounding space darkened. From within the dense bushes, a series of monsters with eyes glowing red like embers and jagged sharp teeth began to appear, surrounding the group. One of the scammers looked around with amusement and exclaimed, "Ah, it seems the monsters have appeared just in time." The burly, bearded man turned to Hyrkan, a smirk of self-satisfaction on his face, while his other companions chuckled slyly. "We'll beacon them. You just need to finish them off." Hyrkan replied curtly, "Oh, yes." Secretly turning to his accomplice, one whispered with a sinister smile, "Remember what to do, right?" The other man also smirked slyly, replying concisely, "Yep."
He mumbled about his sinister plan. "First, after drawing the monster's attention, I'll pretend to cast an attack buff for the group, then casually throw an energy ball at him as if by mistake. That confused fool will surely die instantly." As planned, a beam of purple light shot straight towards Hyrkan. Immediately, the wolf monster, roaring furiously, switched targets and charged directly at him with jaws wide open, full of sharp fangs. Hyrkan looked utterly panicked, raising both hands to cover his face and screaming frantically, "Ah!" Witnessing the scene, the group of scamming gamers couldn't hide their triumphant smiles, certain their plan had succeeded. However, the smiles on their faces quickly froze, replaced by looks of bewilderment, which then turned to extreme astonishment. As the dust cloud dissipated, Hyrkan still stood there completely unharmed. Beside him, a skeletal warrior silently sheathed its sword, while the wolf monster's corpse lay motionless at his feet. Hyrkan put his hands on his hips, looking at his bony companion with a reproachful expression, let out a sigh of relief, then said, "That was truly dangerous. Why can't you move a bit faster?" The entire group of scammers was petrified, unable to believe what was unfolding before their eyes.
Hyrkan flashed a bright smile, giving a thumbs up in approval. Right beside him, the skeleton warrior with glowing blue eyes also appeared extremely excited. "Ah, we're doing great. Keep it up," Hyrkan said cheerfully. Witnessing this scene, the scammer gamers were dumbfounded, their faces filled with confusion and anger. One of them gritted his teeth and thought, "What the hell? Why is his summon so strong? Is his level higher than it seems? If so, let's lure more monsters towards him." After a discussion, they quickly put their plan into action. A horde of fierce monsters was lured over, simultaneously rushing towards Hyrkan. The young man feigned panic, letting out a desperate scream. "Ah!" Seizing the opportunity, the burly gamer with a full beard stealthily approached from behind. An evil thought echoed in his mind. Once he's distracted, we'll take him down. With that thought, he raised his spiky mace high and slung a devastating blow aimed directly at Hyrkan's nape. A red aura enveloped the weapon, signaling a powerful attack about to land. The scammer's face stretched into a sinister grin as he put all his strength into the strike.
The smug look on the burly scammer gamer's face instantly twisted into utter astonishment. "What?" he roared, sweat pouring as he realized his insidious attack had missed its mark. One of his teammates, standing elsewhere, also couldn't believe his eyes, thinking he dodged it. In a flash, Hyrkan darted past the enemy with astonishing speed. A cold blue streak of light flashed, and immediately after, fresh blood spewed from the burly gamer's back as an unseen force ripped through his body. In the chaotic forest, another member of the scammer group stood frozen, watching their comrades fall one by one to a flickering phantom. "What?" he stammered, terror clearly etched on his face. At the epicenter of the carnage, Hyrkan stood firm, his sharp gaze devoid of emotion. He stomped his foot down. "Skeleton," he commanded in a deep, powerful voice. Instantly, the ground beneath Hyrkan's feet cracked open. A mystical blue light surged from the earth, and a skeletal warrior rose. Its empty eye sockets blazed with blue soul flames, ready to sow terror at its master's command.
The skeleton warrior, longsword in hand, shot forward like an arrow. Facing it, two scamming gamers stood frozen, their faces deadened with terror. Realizing death was imminent, one of them frantically raised a hand, stammering in desperation, "Wait, we can talk." But his plea dissolved into the air. Without a moment's hesitation, the skeleton warrior swung its sword. A sharp blue streak of light swept through, piercing both scammers with a chilling slash. Screams of pain and horror shattered in the air. Fresh blood splattered as their bodies were violently flung high by a tremendous force, then flopped onto the cold ground like two severed puppets. Witnessing the scene from afar, Hyrkan's blue eyes gleamed with cold indifference. He slowly approached, his hand tightening around the sword hilt. Standing before the two crumpled corpses on the ground, Hyrkan spoke in a low, husky voice filled with contempt. "I know bastards like you too well. You're the kind who backstab those who trust you and steal everything they have." With that, he turned and along with his skeleton warrior quietly walked away, leaving behind those who had paid the price for their deceit. His footsteps faded into the silence of the forest.
Standing tall over a pool of blood, Hyrkan coldly stared down at the dying scammer at his feet. "If it were the old me," he said monotonously, "your trick might have worked." The scammer's face turned ashen, filled with utter horror as death drew near. He stammered a plea, his voice hoarse with fear. "Wait, I'll give you items. I'm sorry, so please." "No, I'm the one who should apologize," Hyrkan indifferently cut him off, all pity completely gone from his eyes. Without a moment's hesitation, he raised his dagger high. The sharp blade gleamed in the light, reflecting Hyrkan's resolute and cold face. "I no longer trust humans." Slash! The blade plunged down, ending the scammer's life in a blink. Instantly, a blue system notification panel appeared in midair. "Player, Ralph, has died. 8 ownerless watches have dropped." Staring at the displayed number, Hyrkan was stunned. He softly mumbled in a mix of surprise and disgust. 8 of them? This bastard is truly insane.
Hyrkan stood over the data-fragmented remains of a fraudulent gamer, a smug yet mischievous smile on his face. Seeing the defeated scattered around, he decided this spoils of war couldn't be wasted. "Well, since things have turned out this way, I'll make good use of them. Let's start with my clothes first," Hyrkan mumbled, a gleam of amusement in his eyes. Noticing his subordinate's adorably playful demeanor, Hyrkan turned to it with a gentle, teasing tone. "My precious skeleton, do you want to take something for yourself?"